We have a brand new loyalty program and a huge sign up bonus with a new card. My China trip's all blown up. I'm sure you have some fun to add to the mix as well. All that coming up right now on MTM Travel.
Dumbest name ever?
So we have a lot to discuss this week with Atmos Rewards, Alaska's new loyalty program. They have a new premium credit card, and there's a lot of details going into this. This is very exciting, I think. Some interesting stuff going into both the card and the new program. But I want to start by, a weekly update on my China trip. My friend had another issue with work, the same issue, but then it extended another day. So we had fixed the problem, found flights, and then we had to move it like 2 more days after, which just screwed everything up. And it's been just an entire weekend of rebooking everything, which I do have some ninja skills, but it has been a little frustrating because award availability isn't quite what we wanted. I did get it all figured out, but not so fun.
Yeah, canceling and rebooking stuff is, my least favorite thing. And that's what my parents always do that. It's always when you book for other people, that's a problem. If it's you, it's not so much a problem because you don't need to coordinate with them. You don't need to check on time. Hey, does this flight work? Does that? You just book it because you know that you need to rebook yourself. So if you're doing it for yourself or even your family, not a big deal. But when it's other people that you need to go back and forth with, it's terrible. My parents always used to pull that to me like 2 days before they come. Hey, could we move to the earlier flight or could we do this instead? And I'm like, you know what? You're lucky you got a flight at all. Just shut up and take it.
Yeah, I was a little it's working in a corporate world. I totally understand this. And we had to change this for him. And it just became a matter of like putting together the different cities and even reordering things a little bit. So we're going to start at Shanghai, and I was able to kind of get that done. But it really does require outside the box thinking, which is something that you learn, I think, a lot in this hobby, how to put different pieces together and how to make it all work, especially when you're doing something last minute, especially when you're being flexible, which so many people in this hobby are. And I think that's a big difference. And we've talked about this before. A lot of people, I think, just book a trip and it's on their calendar for a year, and eventually they're just going to take that trip. And people in this hobby, they may book 10 trips, I don't know, but they may book a lot of trips and only take a couple of them, or they may find something better and change along the way. Or, we've talked about changing flights and all the flexibility. And it does become fun, even if it is, I don't know, tedious, but it's fun to at least have the skills, I suppose.
Yeah, I know our buddy Rob is like, he takes this to the next level where he'll have like 4 flights booked for one vacation or one way to go to, like, let's say Asia. He'd have 4 flights booked and deciding on which day he wants to leave, depending on what his other travels led up to it, or maybe he changes his mind where he wants to be. So he has like all this stuff booked and then he cancels it a couple days out, which is just crazy and would drive me nuts, but that's the way he lives.
I have another update for upcoming travel. I don't think we talked a lot on this show about Princess when I did the cruise and then the casino offers that we were sort of being strategic about. We originally got an offer for Princess from one of the local casinos here, but when you get on board with their cruises, unlike some cruise lines like Carnival and others, they actually give you a number of points to earn to guarantee yourself another free cruise. And we were strategic on our cruise a few months ago, earned exactly that amount of points, got a free cruise. But the caveat was you had to take it exactly or within 6 months of the previous cruise. And when you did all the dates and everything, the last time we could use it was December 17th. That's the last date that we could depart. And so I found a cruise December 17th. It worked with what we wanted. And so we're going to go Christmas. It'll be a Christmas cruise. Should be kind of fun and completely free. I'll say free, but with adding my daughter, it would have been $3,000 if I paid cash for the cruise. For all of us, it was $1,000. So there you go. 67% off for my free cruise.
I thought you guys were leaving her home this time. See, you messed up because you booked the Christmas trip.
You can't on Christmas. You can't do it on Christmas. Well, that's the problem is like who watches her, and we have our son can do it. We've had some relatives who have done it, but it's just hard to rely on people for a week or 10 days. Plus it's Christmas and we're giving her another chance. You got a redemption, Mark. Redemption.
Are you guys going to be on the boat on Christmas or you come back like right before?
Yeah, it's the 17th through the 27th. So we'll be on the boat on Christmas at sea. So that will be fun. We did a cruise a few years ago on the Carnival Panorama that was over Hanukkah, which was really fun. We celebrate Hanukkah. So every night they did the prayers and that was super cool. And I'm sure on the cruise ship, they'll have a nice Christmas spread and it'll be all the Christmas cheer and all of that. Usually my wife, the whole Christmas thing's with her family, and I've always wanted to travel on Christmas and I always get denied. And thanks to Princess and this expiring cruise, I finally win. So I'm going to enjoy it.
So are you going to bring are you going to do presents before, presents after? Are you just going to go, hey, go to the overpriced shops and pick out something? How are you going to do all that stuff?
Well, thankfully, she's moved beyond the SC phase, so she doesn't believe that. I remember when my son was little, we were traveling, and one time we were in New Zealand on Christmas morning, and we had to be strategic because we were on a road trip, and we had to be strategic about when we bought the presents, hiding them in the car because we didn't have anywhere else, and then making sure they magically showed up in the hotel room. And he was, I guess, 6 at the time or 7 at the time, and he believed it. He bought that SC had come and visited us in New Zealand. I haven't thought much about it, but I guess
Is there a
with
reason
her, it
you
doesn't really
can't
matter.
say Santa Claus?
I just don't want to ruin it for anybody out there. You just did it. You just did it.
I mean, if you're listening to this podcast with like your 7-year-old, that's a choice. But no, okay. Maybe we should put it on a warning earlier in you just add that
Trigger
in.
warning.
Trigger
Yeah.
warning. Earmuff your kids. But no, yeah, it does make it different for sure. And as they grow older, it's more into clothes and stuff, easier stuff to take with you versus these big presents or toys and all that type of crap. So I think traveling on Christmas gets easier. One, because you had all the young ones, the early on Christmases at home or Hanukkah, and that specialness of it and everything when they still believe in everything. And now that they're older and they don't care about that stuff and they just want money or something simple, you can travel a bit more. So it makes sense. I'm still kind of old school. I want my kids at home. I want to wake up next to that tree, but I can see why as they get older, it becomes easier to do.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, we've had different holidays where we travel. Our birthdays have been big over the years, so being on the road during that stuff. And I am Jewish, so I didn't grow up celebrating Christmas, although I've celebrated Christmas for a very long time with my family now. And I definitely agree with that. I have a whole lifetime. I mean, every single year, growing with her waking up and doing the presents and filming it, and that is sort of cool. But yeah, I do look forward to doing this different. And one of the stops there is St. Martin, which I'm excited to go back to because we're going to go to Maho Beach and show Ellie the airplanes flying overhead, and that'll be super fun. I haven't been
No,
there in
thanks.
quite a while.
No, none of those
What?
videos make me want to be there.
I'm going to get a video of myself getting blown back just so you can.
Yeah. What was that movie with Billy Bob Thornton where he was like an air traffic controller and he went on the runway where the plane lands and got blown off? And I think John Cusack's in it. Do you remember that?
No, of course not.
Where's Joe when we need him?
So you don't know the name? You don't remember the name?
Pushing Tin. See, I wanted to say Tin Cup, which I knew that was the Kevin Costner golf movie, but I knew it had something to do with tin. So Pushing Tin. You should watch it. It's kind of in our realm of things we're interested in.
Yeah, I love Billy Bob Thornton. I don't know, that movie never made my radar or something. I don't think I've ever even heard of it. But yeah, Maho Beach, really cool. Some other Caribbean stuff. Nice weather down there in December. And a 67% off cruise. How that works is you still pay taxes and fees for the first 2 people. Plus we had to pay 3 something, I think was her fare because it's Christmas. So it wasn't even that cheap for her, plus her taxes. And like I said, $1,000 for a $3,000 cruise. So we'll see. And then if we earn the points again, we can kick it forward. But we do have another free cruise from Princess or Carnival or Holland America coming. So it is
not Carnival.
Who has all the time?
No, don't do it.
I want you to do it.
No, I'm not going on a Carnival cruise. No, thank you.
Well, it doesn't have to be a Carnival. Well, no, I mean, I could do Holland, or I don't know if Princess will work because we've already been on there, but I may go on a Carnival cruise in November by myself. I have an offer with them as well, where usually you have to pay for 2 people, right, in a room, or if you're a single person, you can do, you have to pay the double occupancy. But this offer is like $300 for 6-night cruise down to Mexico on one of my favorite ships out of LA. So I might do that in early November, just work from the ship and enjoy it. It's hard to argue, and that's a $200 onboard credit. So basically my net cost, I think it was $350 out the door. So my net cost is $150 for a 6-day cruise. That one is a little hard to turn down, even though I would have to do it by myself, but that could be fun too.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of relaxing, just kind of hanging out by yourself, getting some rest and not feel like you need to do stuff. And when you have your kids with you, it's always, okay, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? We want them to have a good time. When it's with just your spouse, you get a little more freedom, maybe a little bit lazier, but they still wanted to go here. Maybe you don't want to, so you just do it, you buck up. Where when you're by yourself, yes, it can be lonely, but it's also kind of nice to just go at your own pace, however you want to do it. I know a lot of people love solo traveling, which you do as well. And I'm more of a social person, so I could still find that, you make your cruise friends or whatever. But I do look forward to like a couple days of just not having anybody bother me.
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely make cruise friends with your personality and everything, and you would have new friends for the ship. But yeah, I mean, I'm not as much into solo travel as much as I used to be. I do get lonely, but for like a 6 day relaxing, I would still be working, going down to Mexico, eating some tacos on a nice ship, good weather. Yeah, I think that would all add up to a pretty good experience. And I think I want to say this just for people who did the carnival match a few years ago, you haven't looked recently, check your account. I didn't do much gambling on Carnival. I haven't had free offers for years, except when they want to fill up ships or specific things. And right now, for the Mexico sailings, they're doing that. So make sure to check your accounts. Even if you aren't a big gambler with Carnival, you might have some offers there. And, 21, 22, this was the heart of all those free offers. It was I don't know, a bonanza. But there's still some opportunities, still some free cruises around. I just don't have the time anymore right now to go on all of these cruises. Before we get into Atmos, Alaska, all their new card, their new program, everything going on there, the Sapphire Reserve, I see you have it on the agenda here. What's going on?
Yeah, it was weird because, when at launch, it had the best ever offer, 100,000 miles and $500 Chase Travel Portal credit, for 5,000, I think, and spend over 3 months, which was the best ever offer before, the old launch of the Sapphire Reserve was 100K. So we're like, okay, cool. We got back to the 100K. Even the Sapphire Preferred's been at 100K, but that's kind of it. And then you throw in the $500. That's kind of like 25, 30,000 points. Okay, that's a good deal. So we're thinking that offer's ending. They're going to come out with like just a standard 100K offer or something like that. Maybe they drop it all the way down to 75K with the Sapphire Preferred, since they used to be lockstep, but doesn't make as much sense with the higher annual fee now. So I was guessing 100K, and they come back with 125K after I believe 6,000 in spend. So a little bit more spend. Yeah, the points, I would say the 100K and 500 in theory is the better offer as far as value, because I'd say most people probably don't get a full 2 cents unless you're flying international. To That's a guaranteed $500. So I'd say worth a little bit more. But I think most of the people listening to this would prefer the 125K offer. So it's just weird that they came out with what would have been the best ever offer right after the best ever offer, and potentially ticked off everybody that grabbed the other best ever offer because they would have preferred this offer.
Yeah, I mean, looking into it, there's a couple ways to look at it. You could say, well, they didn't sign up enough people for this huge marketing blitz. We know Chase spent an insane amount of money marketing this. This was like a once in a card generational 5, 6, 7 year sort of launch with media everywhere and advertising everywhere and in their banks, the signage. And this was a huge sort of thing for them. And maybe the internal numbers weren't enough where they felt they still had to dangle that carrot, or maybe this was always the plan. It's really interesting because with those marketing startups, with all the marketing they're doing, with all the affiliate commissions they're paying, they do pay out quite a bit on top of the welcome offer. So their acquisition costs are really high. And yet here we are with like you say, a comparable offer. So maybe this is the new normal, like just tweaking offers with the same sort of frontline value, just displaying it in different ways.
Yeah, I think the numbers are probably less than they had hoped for or thought, and that's because it's just bankers in a room coming up with perks, and they did it in a way that can make them money versus useful things, like throwing all these random coupons on there that they're fronting for you, like the other company you're paying a chunk of. Yeah, that's good for your bottom line, but it's not good for cardholders. They're not interested in more of the same. If you would have just bumped up the travel credit from $300, that probably would have gone over better, and you could have given less overall value and people would have been okay with it. It's just, people want more simplicity. They want easier to use. They want something that makes sense. And I think we're going to talk about this, later in the show with the Atmos card. Why I think Alaska and Bank of America did such a great job with that is they rolled the perks back into their own program. They didn't use outside vendors to carry the weight of this thing. Sapphire Reserve just threw more crap on top. The Amex Platinum is probably going to do more of the same. You could say, yeah, the FHR credit is kind of keeping it a bit in house if they are bumping that up, but I'm sure they're going to throw some more stuff at the wall, some more spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. But yeah, I just don't understand how they didn't think that this would be kind of lukewarm.
We've talked to executives, we talked about it before. Having talked to them, I'm not surprised how they don't see it that way. I think that you don't have any more perks to give out, any more coupons to figure out. Like that's all played out at this point. So what is the next boom? But we're still Amex Platinum, what, a month away, a few weeks away before we find out all of the refresh there. I sent you a screenshot. I'm not going to call this person out, of a YouTube video, and it's just like he's got this crazy face on his thumbnail on YouTube, and he's like, Amex accidentally sent me a new platinum card, and it's just like the most exciting thing ever. And I said, YouTube with the credit card space is so boring. I think I said boring, but it's just funny because you get nerdy. You got the new platinum card, but you would have thought he won $1 million.
Yeah, ooh, maybe a little bit. Remember when they added the flowers or whatever, or came out with rose gold and for the gold, and then flowers for the platinum, and they thought that, and then the white platinum, and they're like, "Oh man, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread." It's like, no, it's still just like a card. I don't care what it looks like. I want it to be useful. And all the people that care what it looks like, they're not going to, be that. They're not going to saturate the market for you. Like, yes, I think that people were leaning into that a bit with social media and everything, but those are phases and those are fads. Like you're already on the tail end of that. You make something useful. That's what everybody's looking for. They're tired of this wave of bull crap. They want useful, meaningful, that makes sense for the product. Walmart Plus does not make sense for Amex Platinum. Like all this crap doesn't make sense. StubHub does not make sense for Chase Sapphire Reserve. Like, why would somebody that has a reserve card that travels want concert discounts? Nobody cares.
All right, let's talk Atmos. Let's get off the the chase. Let's talk about a card you like and a program that you like and some of the what people can do good in a space that works really well. And Atmos is the new loyalty program from Alaska and Hawaiian. And basically, when Alaska bought Hawaiian, they promised that a new program was coming, and the old mileage plan is gone. And I think Hawaiian isn't fully merged into the new Atmos yet. That's going to happen a little bit later. But anyway, eventually they'll all be in Atmos, and this is their new loyalty program. They changed a few things, though. They do have a new card, and we should talk about that. But I think talking about some of the interesting program details here is worthy. And they added milestone rewards, which are good. Every 10,000 miles or points you earn, then you're going to get a choice of different stuff. But I really like the way that you can earn miles in one of three ways. Now, you do have to choose that up front, which is kind of weird, but you can do it by distance flown, the old way, 5 points for every dollar spent, or by segments flown. So if you're somebody who flies like a ton of short segments, then you could come ahead, you get 500 points per segment flown, which is also another old way of doing it. So I like that they've sort of kept that around while also moving into the more modern program that a lot of their competitors have.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in this space will probably go back to the old, everybody gripes about everything moving to how much you spend and basing it on mileage flown for getting status and stuff. Could be interesting. I could see people taking weird connections like they used to back in the day just to rack up some more points and everything. So I like that they gave people choices. If you're flying a lot for your employer, then maybe you pick the dollars because you book a lot of last minute flights. They're very expensive. So you're like, hey, let's get 5 points per dollar. That's the best setup I can get right now. And then if you change jobs, maybe you're going to be trying to engineer it versus miles flown or segments. Maybe your kid goes to school and it's a short flight and you're going to be taking that a lot if they're off to college in a different area, something like that. So I hope there's some flexibility there, but I do like that they're giving us back some of that power where it used to be, if you trigger any of these things, you'll get it. Where now, yes, you have to pick one, which kind of stinks, but at least it's better than them just ramrodding it down your throat and saying, this is the way it is.
Yeah, I think it's great. And it's great that this is a new program going into the future that we're getting this. And maybe they'll figure out flexibility with how people can change it. But I think that's good. And speaking of the milestone rewards, 750 points, a free pre-order food item. You can get Atmos Silver for a trip. That's become more popular. Get the status for a day sort of thing. Double points with non-air partners. Upgrade your next Avis budget rental.
Ooh.
I'd take the points probably. Free Wi-Fi. So, but I mean, it's something, and it's just proven that this has become very popular in loyalty programs where you keep getting something along the way.
Yeah, and I think would you say Hyatt was the first one to really kick that off or make it popular? I feel like they did it really well. They made it interesting, and they gave people, once you got top tier status, they gave people a reason to continue to earn. So I'm sure there was some other program out there that, they kind of ripped it from, but I think that was the first one that really went mainstream and did well. And now we've seen it, kind of make its way into the airlines.
So there's also this Wi-Fi thing that's a little confusing. I asked you about it before the show because some of the perks advertised give you free Wi-Fi here, free Wi-Fi there, like on the milestone rewards. But eventually, all Atmos members are going to get free Wi-Fi as they switch over to Starlink, and that's going to happen over the next year, year and a half. So that is good news for everybody there as well, even if it's a little confusing. And then this is another crazy one. Top tier elites get free companion upgrades on international long haul flights. So you could upgrade same day yourself and a companion on an international flight. And that is a pretty good perk.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one that people will be shooting for. And I think, the credit card that we're going to talk about next will make earning status a little bit easier for those people that have big spend or know how to rack up some big spend. And there's some other cool perks of that card too, if you're in that spending realm. So definitely something that we probably need to dive into a bit more, the status levels. And then, of course, the One World status that you can get, which helps on other airlines too. Now, back it up a bit. Are you surprised that they came out with a new program name and everything and didn't stick with Alaska mileage plan? They've spent all this time and money growing it. I know it's kind of regional, and I know they want, part of this is probably because Hawaiian's keeping its own name and they're somewhat separate but together. But, we see Avios goes to so many different airlines. They could have worked it that way. Or do you think this is kind of their coming out where they're like, we're not so small anymore, even though they're still pretty West Coast focused?
It's funny because for a while you had these loyalty programs that were named their own names. Think of Caesars Total Rewards or IHG Priority Club or whatever it was back in the day. I forget. I think that's what it was. And then everybody changed their names to be more, Caesars Rewards, IHG Rewards, to be more basic, right? Just to kind of tie into the name. And now we're seeing this separate sort of branding, Alaska moving in the opposite direction, keep creating this program. I'm not surprised. I mean, I think that they're really trying to emphasize that they are a huge international airline now, a big airline. I mean, obviously not as big as American, United, Delta. They're launching all kinds of international routes. They're taking on the Hawaiian planes. They have a pretty good product internationally as well. And I think that they want to be seen as one of the big boys here. And I think that kind of changing this and getting this new program out there for all of their airlines and everything else, I think that's probably the big push here as they really normalize themselves into maybe the big four. I mean, it's hard with Southwest is a bigger airline too, I think, but eventually Alaska is going to get there, and they're going to get there as an international full service carrier.
Yeah, I guess you could say, the other ones did the Cracker Barrel, and Atmos is the opposite of Cracker Barrel. They didn't go minimalist.
Maybe yeah. I mean, I guess you could go one way. I mean, it is crazy though in this day and age. You talk about the executives at Chase sitting in a boardroom figuring out things, but it is nuts this day and age that you can make a mistake like that. I mean, Cracker Barrel is a great example this week. How much time and effort and money and consultants and to create this new brand image with this new logo, which is admittedly very simple, but they go through all this process. You think you make this great decision for the future of this brand and this company, and then you just get crazy backlash. So that's always something that can happen in 2025 when you do this stuff.
I just don't get it. Like, why wouldn't you go to your Cracker Barrel people that are sitting there eating and be like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, just do some focus groups and you can you can stop all of this. Like if the banks would just come to a group of travelers or a group of high level flyers on their, frequent flyers and be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? I think they could curb a lot of these problems. Banks go to current Sapphire, and I know they send out these questionnaires. Sometimes they'll email you and you have to get people to fill it out, but like reach out to people that are in the know. You guys rely on social media people to promote your image. Why don't you talk to some of the people in that space that are big and knowledgeable in this, and they can give you feedback, whether it be positive or not. It just felt like Crackle Barrel was like, you know what, the old people are dying, let's move to something more young and try to get those 20-year-olds in here. Well, they're not going to eat there. Like,
no, they're not going to eat there.
so you're just going to
Cracker Barrel.
What you do have trying to get
you
something
got to be
that
at
you're
least
never
like
going to get. I don't know.
You got to be at least 70, right, to eat a Cracker Barrel. I mean, it's like you got the country store with all the knickknacks on the wall. It is a thing, and
I think everybody
obviously I'm
ages
not
into
from
it.
the South.
When we're 70, we want to go to the old Cracker Barrel. We don't want this new one. Like, you just have to wait for us all to get there.
That's depressing, Mark. I don't want to age into Cracker Barrel. Not my favorite place in the world. The food
I do
isn't
like
all
the
that good.
stores.
I
I
will
like
age
the
at Waffle
stores.
House.
I like the stores. I like the stores at Cracker Barrel. They have cool stuff in there. It's kind of fun. It's way too claustrophobic and too many people in there, but I've stopped at the stores of Cracker Barrel and never gone in to eat at times. But yeah, I think, you got to be careful. You got to focus on your roots too. And that's something that everybody's struggling with. It's all, bean counters. We always say this in the Vegas show, is bean counters making decisions, and then they're kind of just going with, oh, well, everybody's, kind of got this look in their restaurants. Let's go there. And it's like, that's not your brand. It just doesn't fit.
And as much as I love modern design philosophy, we talk about it a lot with hotels, and I think that's a great industry to look at to see the homogenization of what can happen when you have these same design firms recreating the same hotel rooms in buildings all across the country and the world. Unless you go into a super high-end hotel, there's very little variance in the way hotel rooms look. They're very gray, right? Same color carpets, same types of furniture, same types of layouts. And I've said this before, low-end hotel rooms have come a long way because of this. You have $500 a night hotel rooms that have laminate flooring that go with a $50 motel that has laminate flooring. And so you have, I don't know, there is something in our culture where we are losing that uniqueness. Now with Cracker Barrel, I don't blame them for trying to upgrade the logo to bring it to modern times. I agree, just completely obliterating any imagery and making it as simple as that didn't succeed. But I do understand, like, there's a huge struggle here to be relevant, as perhaps, and maybe this is overplayed, maybe it's not, the generations are further apart than they ever have been in their tastes. And I that's just in my own life, I think I see that. And it would make it so hard to try to say, I want to keep those 70-year-olds who are coming, but I also want the 20-year-olds to come here too. And I think your answer is right. The 20-year-olds are just never going to go to Cracker Barrel.
Unless it's with their grandparents. I don't know. But no, it's just, it's kind of funny. And I thought the interior design, and I know we're getting like way off the path here, but I thought the interior design was the bigger thing. Maybe more so. I mean, you could have still kept the barrel there at least, or updated the guy. Yeah. I think you could have done that. And then the interior, it's just like, looks nothing like it. It's supposed to be kind of rustic. It's supposed to feel old. You could have done that in like a nice way and kind of update, but just to like paint the walls white and put in these, accents on the wall that you're like, okay, this is farmhouse modern. And then you still have that crappy floor. It just looks so stupid.
Yeah, fun times with the internet. There was a great AI video going around with the CEO of Cracker Barrel. If you've ever seen that, claiming to backtrack on all of the changes, it's pretty good. A good use of AI. But let's go back to Alaska and Atmos. Before we talk about the credit card, last thing is with the status. They are changing the names of the status: Atmos Silver, Gold, Platinum, Titanium. The two top tier statuses are going to require more. Platinum is going to go from 75K now to 80K starting in 2026. And then Titanium, which was their previous 100K top tier status, is going to be 135,000 points to get. So they're adding those perks like that international upgrade, but they're going to make it harder to get the status. Also, you can spend towards it with the credit card. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a complete thing. So let's sort of get into the credit card. What are your takes? I mean, a big sign up bonus, and we'll talk about the perks and all of that. But I guess we'll start with this. Should people be looking at this credit card to sign up for?
I think if you know the old Alaska program fairly well, and you know the partners and what to book, I think it's definitely one you consider. I think it's an over 524 card. I think you get your Chase lineup set first, and then you can move to this. It's not going anywhere. There's no rush to get it. Don't pew pew yourself in the foot to get. We have to do that for YouTube. In the foot to get this card and burn a slot somewhere else. Even if the offer drops like 20,000 points, because this is the intro offer, you could be giving up 50, 100,000 points somewhere else in a 524 card to get 20,000 points here. So yeah, it all depends. If you have everything all lined up already, then go for it and move on. But I think it is one that I signed up for it, and I'm well over 524. And I thought, the 100,000 miles are valuable, especially with membership rewards being not the back door anymore. I know Shawn's sitting on a stash, so maybe he doesn't, find this as enticing. But I really like, that the perks roll into the program. It's all about the program. It's not the executive card from American Airlines giving me a Grubhub credit. I don't want to go buy $10 worth of crap somewhere just to use this credit on the card and you inflate the annual fee for it. Like they came in at just under $400, maybe a little bit high, but I think that's fair. You don't get unlimited lounge access, which probably kept the price down. I don't think lounge access is as big with this card as with some of the others because they just don't have the coverage or the lounges. I can hold up my hand like 2 times I've been near a Alaska lounge. So it's just not something for me. So getting 4 a year, 8 a year, I think it's 8 a year, 2 a quarter is okay. But I like that, they're giving the discount on the award booking fee on partners. I think that's really cool, unique. They give you a $50 credit if they're delayed. That's unique in the program. They give you a 25,000 point companion pass that you can use on partners. That's really cool because they know partner airlines are kind of their jam versus flying Alaska. Like I've flown Alaska once in my life and I don't plan on flying them anytime soon. So if that was
Come on, you missed that carpet up in the front. Come on, you know it.
if you miss, I've been rambling a bit here. But if that was a standard companion pass on Alaska, I've let like 10 of those go unused. They're pointless to me. So I think that this makes it more useful and all that stuff. But yes, the front, the that tribal carpet on the wall in first class is just next level of Alaska, man.
And Mark will find everything like that to put a heart through people who love the airline. It is unique. Come on, it's something different there. So the sign up offer 100,000 bonus points and a global 25,000 point companion award after 6K in spend in the first 3 months or 90 days. And as you said, $395 annual fee with this. So you talked about a lot of the perks, and that's great. And I think people should dive into your article too, where you go over all the application rules for Bank of America and when you can get a card and when you can't. It's a little complicated, not quite as stringent as some other banks, but it's certainly worth checking out. And so I'll just put the link to the article and people can dive into that. But let's talk about this. I mean, the earnings, not great. Like a lot of cards are not great with earnings. This one has 3x dining, which is okay. 3x on Alaska, Hawaiian, but 3x internationally. That's something I don't think I've seen before.
Yeah, I think that was another kind of little feather in their cap, something unique, something different. And that is a great move by them. And I'm sure other cards will pick it up, but airline cards are never known for good earning. Maybe the Aeroplan card is the only one that actually has like a pretty decent lineup outside of paying for flights. But this is kind of cool. Like if I'm going somewhere internationally, yes, I might still use like my Bilt card for dining. But if I'm buying tickets or something at a regular store, I'll pull this card out and get 3x Atmos miles. It just gives you another reason. And if you want simplicity, you're only going to take this card and you're only going to use this card. So I think that was something cool. And as you said, they want to be kind of known as an international airline. If that's the case, then this is the best way to get people to buy into that, I think.
They're also introducing point sharing, which is interesting. But I'm going to go back to the point you made, the partner award booking fee and waiving that. I'm not going to give them credit for this, Mark, because this fee is BS and it should not exist. Nobody else charges this. So we're going to waive the BS fee that we charge you. I mean, fine enough. There's a lot of good things about Alaska. That fee is not one of them. And as you point out, that can be significant value if you book a lot of flights with them. Because I imagine it goes for your whole party, right? So that could really start to add up quickly.
Yeah, I'm actually waiting to book my next trip. I'm waiting for my card to come in the mail because that will save me $25 on the flight that I need to book. So there you go. There's a big chunk towards the annual fee already. And yes, it is their own fault. It's their own making. It's kind of like the old Kmart Jewelry Center where they jack everything up 60% so they can say it's 60% off, and it's just always on sale. So that's kind of stupid, but at least they realize that this is a pain point. It's one of the things I hate the most about the Alaska program. So when they roll out Atmos, they're like, hey, this is a pain point. Let's make this a perk of the card. Relieve that pain point. I think that's really cool. The $50 delay, everybody has delays, but the fact that they're willing to give you a $50 statement credit and it's not enforced by, the government or something along those lines, that's great too. Like nobody else has done that. So they have several things that nobody else has done. Nobody gives you a companion pass that works on partner airlines too. Like that's super unique. And then you can spend your way to that 100K one, which is amazing value. It's kind of at that price point that I don't think a lot of people are going to go after it, but I think that gives it a little bit more value.
And one last sort of interesting feature of this was points transfers to other programs. They tried to market this in a way to kind of make it exciting, like you can earn Atmos points, and kind of like Built, I guess, trying to say earn Atmos points and then transfer them to partners. This isn't really new. I mean, Marriott, airlines, I mean, they've all done transfers between each other for a long time. Never usually a good value. Not a good value here. Was it IHG's 1-to-1, Marriott 1-to-1, Wyndham 1-to-1, Shangri-La 8-to-1? I'm not sure the value there, but it's not that exciting. We're not talking about super exciting transfer partners, and that doesn't seem to really be the focus here, even though they did advertise that a bit.
Yeah, and it's usually bad when you're going from airline to hotel or hotel to airline. It's not a good thing there. You just want transferable currencies to those loyalty programs. That's where the value is at. So, I mean, if you're stuck with some points or you just need like 2,000 more to book this room, maybe it'll make sense in that. And you don't want to, maybe you don't have like the proper bank point to transfer over there. I could see it being useful in a pinch, but definitely not something you want to focus on. I do like I think you can set up to 10 people to transfer points to and from, so I can go steal my wife's Alaska miles, or Atmos. I'm going to call it Alaska for years now. Atmos miles, and bring them over to my account. I assume that's how it works. I don't know if you can only push it from the card holder out or if it goes both ways. I think it goes both ways. I haven't had a chance to mess with it yet. So I'm looking forward to trying that, and I'll bring that up, in a future podcast when I play around with it a bit. But now I hate having points and miles in my wife's account. It's just annoying. I want them all in mine. It's easier. So this another pain point they relieved.
Yeah, more programs should do that. Family pooling should be something that every program has. Just make it super easy. And we're seeing more of that, but that's good. And closing with this, they advertise heavily no foreign transaction fee. It's funny because I never look at credit cards. Most of the miles and points cards don't have foreign transaction fees. Clearly, you should never use one. But I just thought it would be very hilarious if they had one on this card, given the 3x. It's just like, yeah, we'll give you 3x, but we'll charge you 3% on the back end. I don't know. That made me laugh. But this is a good card. Mark has signed up for it. This is one to certainly look at. Like you said, you don't need to go get it right now. Make sure it fits within your bigger strategy. But even if you put aside all the perks, those miles, that sign up offer, that welcome offer, is worth the annual fee, much more than the annual fee the first year. So it's also a card where you could get it, see how it works for you, and get a nice little chunk up front.
Yeah, I think that, those are worth $1,500 to $2,000, somewhere in that range for most people, and paying $400 plus the 25,000 point companion pass. If you can use that, and then you get that every year too. If you can use that every year, that pretty much covers the annual fee, or is right up there. And then we should say one more thing, a promo they rolled out with Atmos, which is kind of weird, is if you have a local soccer team in MLS, every time they score a goal, you get points. Even back to the beginning of the season, it's retroactive, so get you a few thousand points. It's only West Coast, though, and I know that they're West Coast, but if they really want to be a big boy, you can't limit this to just West Coast, 5 West Coast teams. I find that kind of, small timing.
Yeah, and you got to live with, 50 miles or something of that, so I'm screwed out of this. So it's not even all of West Coast. But yeah, good promotion, great rollout for a great airline. An airline I really enjoy, both Hawaiian and Alaska.
Great program.
I'm interested to see how
airline.
If they didn't have the carpet on the front, Mark would have absolutely loved it. But that was a little much for him. But it's an interesting time. Southwest blew up their business model. Alaska is becoming a big boy. All the other airlines are trying to keep up. The big ones are just being behemoths, but it's definitely a changing time in the airline space. A good card. And let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Do you agree with the Sapphire Reserve takes? And what are your thoughts on why they backed up a bonus with another good bonus? Like, why wouldn't they just make it bad? That's, I guess, the question that we're asking. Atmos blowing up your trips, rebooking, all of that sort of stuff. Cracker Barrel, what is your take on that controversy? Leave a comment. We do a show every Monday, and we have MTM Vegas on Tuesdays and Fridays as well. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.